Good morning and welcome to Self-Care Sunday, where we explore what it means to fill our own cups. Say hello in the chat so I know you are here, and let me know, how are you doing today? How did the first week of school go for you? I know it's been a long time, but I can still remember starting each school year. And I remember making a plan in my head for how I wanted to be that year, how I wanted to present myself. And I think to myself, I really want to be liked. So I'm going to be ... I could fill in like a whole bunch of adjectives here. Did any of you ever do that every year? Like, let me know in the chat if you ever tried to be something consciously in order to be likable. So I would notice that people gravitate to the happy people, for example, the ones who made them feel good. And I might say, this year, I'm going to be happy and bubbly, and I'm going to compliment people, and that's going to make them feel good. And then I will be liked. I will be approachable and fun to be around and never cranky and sullen. And I remember another year thinking that I was going to dress a certain way, do my hair a certain way. And another year where I joined the goth punk crowd trying to fit in there. And sometimes I would think about my body shape and I would make plans to change it, sometimes very unhealthy plans. And so why did I do that? What made me believe that those changes would help me fit in? The root of so many of our behaviors, if you've heard me talk for more than 5 minutes, you know what it is. It is my old programming. So for those of you who are new to these discussions, your programs are the result of your mind taking in data from every single source around it, analyzing it, and using it to help you fit into your various communities, like your home or your classroom or the playground. And because your mind's sole goal is to keep you safe and maintaining the status in the pack, that's going to help you stay safe. So your mind wants you to fit in. And this causes you to create personas or masks that cover who you truly are in favor of who your mind thinks you should be. So if you think about the examples that I just gave in terms of programming, what programs had my mind created as a child about my social acceptance by my peers? My mind created programs that told me I need to act a certain way in order to be liked. I need to be happy and lovable all the time. I need to have a certain body shape to be liked. I need to have, look a certain way in order to either stand out or blend in, depending on what my mind is telling me is beneficial to my world at that time. And what about emotions? What emotions am I allowed to display at school in order to be safe? What about using my voice? Can I share my opinions? What if they're wrong? What does that do to my social status? What if they go against what my teachers are saying? What if I told them, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to participate in this gym activity or this group project. So I knew that if I showed too much realness, that I would be mocked by my peers or labeled as weird or needy or a downer. I knew that if I showed any defiance, I would be told, too bad, suck it up. So nobody would be listening to my voice, or I'd be sent to the office for giving attitude, or I could be labeled as problem and my parents would be disappointed in me. And so now I am a parent with young people who are being programmed as we speak, living under my roof, taking in my influence. And so today I'd like to talk about our role as parents in programming the next generation. So earlier this week, I shared an example that I'd like to talk more about today. So my 16-year-old son was at the orthodontist. And this is a child who does tend to push the limits a little bit to see what he can get away with. But this is also a child with sensory issues, and having braces at all was never something we thought would be possible. So he's had braces for a few years now. And this day they were going to put on these forces to help like move his jaw forward. And after a while, they came to fetch me from the waiting room, and I walked in and he's clearly in distress. They have been trying to put these on for like 10 minutes. And they were trying to convince him to just try it. And he did, until it got too painful for him. And he just decided he didn't want those forces anymore. I'm done. So I enter this situation. What's my first response? Well, I can tell you my first instinct is to tell him that he's doing a great job and that he has to get these forces on. That's the next part of his treatment. I might say, like, let's try just one more time. Then I'm like, why? Why do I have to get these on? Why does he have to get these on? Because someone else says he should? Why is my first instinct just to comply, ignore anything that I might be feeling or that he might be feeling in order to just do what is expected? And that's when I realized, holy shit, my old programming is parenting for me. No, I'm not okay with that. And so I had to remind myself that I have the power to choose. Every single moment is an opportunity to choose. And that can be so hard as a parent. In this moment where he needs to is this a moment where he needs to be encouraged? And then he will be so proud when he gets on the other side, Or is this a moment where he needs to be heard and to know that I have his back and I listen when he speaks his truth? What do I do? So if I give it just a second to percolate, give myself a moment to breathe and assess, my mom instincts know. I know that this is a moment where I can say that following the orders is not as important as honoring my child. And for my whole life, I have learned to ignore my body and just go with whatever I'm supposed to do without complaint. No wiggling, follow the schedule, ignore when you're tired. Work needs to be done, so push through. And I don't want my child to ignore his body and just blindly follow at the expense of his own self-worth, like so many of us have for so much of our lives. We've been taught that our feelings are wrong and should be hidden, and that there's no such thing as intuition. Logic is what prevails. And that's led us down paths that take us further and further away from our inner wisdom and from knowing our true selves. And so we left. We left the orthodontist and I booked an appointment to discuss the options with them next time we come. Who says that we have to have perfectly aligned teeth? Maybe the improvement that he's gotten so far after a couple of years of braces is just right for him. Okay, so we got to the car and the emotions that he had been working so hard to contain just came crashing out. Like, been there, honey, I get you. How many of us have made us through like your work day or that grocery shop or that fight with your spouse and then broke down the minute it was safe to do so? I know I've done that many, many times. So here we are in the car together and he's really upset. What do you think he's saying to himself in his head? Put in the chat what he might be thinking to himself. Maybe he's thinking, I failed. I failed to get the next step in the plan. I failed to do what I was supposed to do. Or maybe he's thinking, people will be disappointed in me. Maybe worrying about what happens when he goes back next time. Will he have to go through that pain again? Will he fail again? And it pretty much breaks my heart because the parent that I was a few years ago would have said something like, oh, it's okay, sweetie. We can try again next time. And I was trying to be supportive and loving, Like the thing that I want most is for my child to feel supported and loved. But in terms of emotions, that would have probably upped his anxiety about next time. And the possibility of disappointing people even more and having to go through that agony of trying to get those forces on again. And in terms of programming, what programs am I reinforcing? Probably the programs around do what's expected, please others, please your parents, don't disappoint anyone. And we did a full self-care Sunday discussion on people pleasing. So you know exactly how damaging those programs can be as a grown-up. And so I took a breath and I thought about, what programs do I want him to take with him into adulthood? What programs do I wish had been reinforced in me at a young age? And so I focused on one of the most important steps in the Bridge to Your Best Life program, where I teach people, often in their 40s like me, who've suffered this programming for way too long, to redefine what success means for them. Does success mean doing what's expected, or maybe something different entirely? And so I held my son's hand and I acknowledged his big feelings. And when they started to subside, I asked him, what does success mean to you? Probably not the right question for a teenager, because he gave me the typical response of, I don't know. Well, I said, here's what it means to me. Success means speaking up when something is uncomfortable, having the courage to say no, having the courage to do things differently and to decide what right is for you in each individual circumstance. And I want to tell you, my son, that I am so proud of you right now. You spoke up when your body was telling you no. You had the courage to tell the technician no and to seek support from your parent. Then you talked to me about how you were feeling, and that is courageous communication. You talked to me and the orthodontist and the technician about your options, and that is problem solving. And now you are giving space for your emotions after you did a hard thing, and that, my son, is self-love. All of those things are success to me, and I am so proud of you. Whew, that gives me emotions. Because these are the programs that I want him to take with him into adulthood. These are the programs that I wished I had so long ago when I was making critical life choices. And so I can settle into the idea that I am proud of myself for working on myself so that I can be more aware of what I am passing on to my kids. And I am proud of each and every one of you for showing up today for that exact same reason. Working on yourself is the most loving thing you can do for your children. Modeling all of those successes, tapping into your inner wisdom, using your voice, even when it's hard, and honoring your feelings will show your kids that it can be done that way, that you can live authentically and be loved and accepted, which is so very different from the programming that I got, where you had to be a certain way, only one way, in order to be loved and accepted, in order to be successful. And that definition of success that I carried with me for so long is what led to my burnout and my depression, and honestly, into complicated relationships in the first place. And so I'm leaving you with these questions. What is your definition of success for yourself in your life? And what definition of success do you want your kids to take with them into adulthood? And finally, how are you going to model that for your kids? So thank you so much for watching this video, for showing up for yourself, and for helping to create a new generation who doesn't see self-care as selfish. If you're looking for more ways to connect with me, I'm turning these Self-Care Sunday chats into a blog. Yay! So you can find it at mindbs.ca/blog. That's mindbs.ca/blog. Please share with other parents who are on a similar quest to support themselves and their children so that we can all be the change together. Hugs and high five to you all. Mwah.
Join me in my Blissfully Busy Facebook group to see if we can figure out how to dodge burnout together.